Okay, now we've talked about the way that gear is measured to make sure it's got a level of protection. Let's go into the actual things that you'd want to have if you're going to ride on the racetrack. The fairly obvious ones are the bits that cover everything, right? So starting with your helmet, a set of leathers, particularly set that if they are two-piece, that they zip together, either fully, minimum at the back, but I would say you want a full two-piece that zips all the way around your waist circumference. Gloves, boots, that's what you're not going to be let out on the racetrack if you don't have those mandatory protective levels, really. The next thing, or the things that go under those, are chest protection and back protection. It's a requirement for racing, particularly the chest protector is the latest iteration. It's been out for a while now that you must run a chest protector under your leathers, and a back protector has been required for a very long time. So I suppose those are the two next things. If you're just doing track days, then having a back protector as a minimum, I'd recommend. The chest protection is the piece de resistance for track days, mandatory for race. You could argue it's mandatory for track days as well, right? Or should be. Alrighty, so my priorities. Anything you only have one of is a little bit more important. Maybe is sort of the way I'm going to break it down. So you only have one head, so it pays to have a fairly decent helmet. To be fair, there is not many rubbish helmets anymore. There used to be some cheap helmets, but even a good value for money helmet now has to meet an approved standard. And if it's a full face helmet with a decent visor, then they are tested to a standard. How far that testing goes, you can do some research yourself. The brand names are fairly important. If you get a decent brand that's been around for a while, obviously they've had a lot more testing and development. Anything that's associated with racing is going to have more development, and that's fair. So the big names that people know, go around and shop. You'll find different heads fit different brands. So I don't fit an AGV helmet. I've never found an AGV helmet that will fit my head. As nice as they look and as expensive or cheap as they are, they just don't fit. So if you're going to have massive pressure points here or be very tight, anywhere in particular, you're not going to be comfortable in the helmet. So you want to try literally put each helmet on, and just because you're a medium in one brand doesn't mean you're not going to be a large in another. Do you have to buy $1,000 helmet? Sadly, if you have a little off, $1,000 helmet can't be used anymore than a $500 helmet, i.e. you scratch it up enough, it has a decent whack, they're both got to go in the bin. So it's completely up to you. The bits that I look for in a helmet now are more around, A, is it comfortable? B, does the visor ventilation system work? I hate a helmet that fogs up all the time, that I'm battling to try and keep the fog out of. So the venting system is really important for me. And then moving on to how well it does on the bike. I can spend a bit of time at higher speeds, so the buffeting factor, some helmets take a bit more buffeting, or they are better in the airflow than others. But I would say that normally the result of extra buffeting is noise. So that's when the air protection really comes into it. And I raced for about 5 years without using any sort of air protection at all, no earplugs, no nothing. And my job at the time used to measure my hearing, and I lost medium to high frequency hearing over a period of 5 years. I was on a 2-stroke for 3 of those years. Whether that was worse than the 4-stroke, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I definitely recommend bog standard. The orange Dayglow earplugs are a good step. I prefer the molded ones, and it's just easier for me to put those in, and they protect even better than the high glow orange ones. So how much to spend and what brand? I didn't really answer that question. Do I think it's worth spending $1,200 on a helmet every time? Personally, I've done it, and I haven't done it since. I think now the range of helmets that are available and the options or features that are $400, $600, or even $800 helmet now are stellar, and so you can get a really, really good helmet for quite a reasonable price. If you're going to go through helmets, i.e. you have a couple of offs in a season, then having two $500 helmets is a lot less hurt on the wallet than $2,000 helmets in the bin, right? But you only have one head, so if you find a helmet and you're dicing up between the $400 version and the $600 version, then maybe I'd suggest you go for the slightly better one. The $400 helmet is going to, in theory, protect your head almost the same, but it's those other bits. It's the visor that fogs up, or the vents aren't quite as good, or it's not quite as comfortable. So, yep, you only have what you have, but you've only got one head, and you don't want to squish it.